Hello, Mark Roy Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thank you for joining us. My wife Cheryl has joined us. We are set. I believe we'll see. Today's been kind of one of those. It's like almost Monday, but
The gremlins have
yeah,
been.
it kind of have been. But it's all good. It is very good. I mean, we have coffee and yeah. And this episode is kind of what was put in my mind. What are you grateful for? Gratitude. Like I think we said there, it's what kind of what makes life for a good life. And so, what are you grateful for? I mean, and anybody who knows, we have been going through a lot of things in the last year and continue to go through it. But we had actually this family give us a gift card to a really nice place, and we hadn't eaten that kind of food in a long time,
Mm.
and we were so really, really grateful for that food because it had been a while. And when we were eating that food, we just took it kind of as like, yeah, it's something we do. And it was something we were doing. But this food, I know Cheryl enjoyed her really good hamburger because she'd been craving a
Craving a
hamburger for
hamburger.
quite a while. But it just made us really, real wake up, and it's like, how many other things are we not being grateful for that we just kind of like expected it? And because we had been traveling, we'd been having really nice meals, really nice wine, and it was definitely a wake up call because it was very generous and blessing to us for them to give us such a generous gift card to
Very
this nice
generous.
place. But it just the food tasted better. I mean, in a way, that's almost a gift because it really, really appreciate. We really appreciated the food, and I mean, yeah, we had been eating. It's just been eating food that is, it's been nutrition. So we're grateful for that. But how many other things? I mean, we expect coffee, we expect electricity, we expect electronics to work most of the time, and yeah, that's today's world. That's kind of been what we're dealing with today. So, but we got it working, I believe. We'll know when we get done here. So, but yeah, gratitude. I'm grateful for God to give us the coffee, the electricity, so we can do this podcast, and it truly is. And I just wonder how many people, because we're in such a hurry in this country anymore. I mean, people, and like I did on the podcast the other day, people are really wound up. Like I said, they're having to try and make enough money to pay their groceries, their car, whatever they need the car needs, their kids, and it's gotten to the point where you can't really work enough hours to get the money to enough to pay for that. So then what do? You just ruminate it, and you think about it, overthink it in your head, and it's like, what am I going to do? And it's a problem that I think is epidemic in this country right now because it's amazing what things cost. I mean, it's just like one thing. Well, we were talking about hamburgers. We were at a store. I'm not going to say which store. And a good, I think, 1 pound thing too, whatever package of hamburger was $7.77. I mean, that's 1 pound. And so, how do you really do that? I'm grateful that we you got hamburger, and you let me have a taste of it. Just let me have a taste, but
Hey, buddy.
no,
You
I had
really
a
let
great.
me have a taste of
Yeah,
your gnocchi, so
yeah, it was good. So, but it is, and we're drinking a good quality coffee. I'm very grateful for that. But we do take so many things for granted, and that's one thing I think when we're out in the middle of Nebraska, we're more grateful because we know when you lose electricity, you basically don't do anything. In the city, you have your sewer taken care of. I mean, yeah, you had to pay for those things, electricity and lights and stuff. But here, like a few years, it's been quite a few years ago when we lost electricity for, I don't think quite 3 weeks because
well,
we
it's
had an
three
ice
and a
storm.
half, huh?
Yeah, it's a long, long time. But we didn't realize how many things that we were grateful for that electricity enables us to make our life so much easier.
Well,
I,
we're different than the city, like you're saying,
yeah,
because our electricity does our well, which means that's our
does everything.
water, and that's and to
It's our
use the
heat.
stool, you have
And
to use
yeah,
water,
yeah.
and so we're not able to do any of those things if the
So
power's off.
yeah, it
So
makes us very, very grateful.
it's
And when
it's
we
a little
lost
different.
power a month ago, we had a storm where the wind was unbelievable. There was a tornado that was
Tornado
close.
just like
Thankfully,
quarter of a mile,
very grateful that we did not have a tornado here because there was one just to the west of us. But we lost power for it wasn't that long. But
four
it
hours.
seemed really like a long time. And very grateful for those guys, our power company. Southern Power that went out there almost immediately and had that. And I know the one guy said he worked like a 26-hour shift to get the power back onto the customers. And granted, we're a little bit different here because we are public power and we own our. We're the only state that's 100% public power, so it's a little bit different there. But I'm very grateful that we do have that in this state. There's a lot of things I'm grateful for in Nebraska. Nebraska does it a little differently. And I think most of the stuff they do right. And very grateful. And people are like, well, what's in Nebraska? It's like Nebraska has a lot going for it. It may be very rural in a lot of places, but I'm very grateful for we are noisy cardinal, our turkeys, and I mean we have so much wildlife. And right now we have one turkey he's lost and he's going by himself out in our yard. But I'm very grateful because in the city, a lot of the things you wouldn't see, it's all perspective. It's mindset. Because you can say, oh, I'm, poo poo on, this. I don't have this. We didn't get to travel like we were. We didn't get the nice meals like we had. Maybe not as much wine as we, would have had or nicer wine. We aren't able to because we've had a lot of storms this year. Our car and house got beat up with a hailstorm that was large hail, and it gives it character. But I'm grateful that didn't break any glass completely out. It still runs great. It's been an awesome car. It's a Subaru. I'm a big fan of Subarus. Grateful that we got started with Subarus because we've had three and they've all been really good cars. And I'm not a spokesman for Subaru, but they are. They've been amazing.
Well, I love all-wheel drive because
Yeah.
I have to go out in the countryside during when it's all weather, and so I have mud and snow,
Well,
and it gets through all of
And
that.
I'm grateful for that it gets amazing mileage.
Yes, it does.
I mean, it has been a trooper. In fact, my pickup is the same way. It's a Ford and a Ford Ranger, and it's an older one, and approaching 300,000 miles. But I'm very grateful for that little pickup because it also has been through a lot. And but there's so many things around to be grateful for, and we just don't really pay attention. We need to slow down, I believe, and just take time. Like this is Sunday when we're recording this, and a lot of our Sundays are kind of just real chill. I mean, they're just we take time, just have coffee. We have coffee just about every day. Anybody who watches us knows that's the case. But we just kind of, I mean, you do need time to rest, and we're grateful that we do that because other people with today's world, you can do it 24/7. And some people probably be grateful for that, but is that really what you think you're on this planet to do? God gave you a day to rest, and I mean, He gave it to us on Sunday. But you need to just rest. You just need to rest. You get a new perspective.
Mm.
I think it's healthier because when you're going all the time, you don't get the perspective. You're kind of like the people I see in the United States right now. And I know, like I said the other day, I know my sister said that people are crazy on the highways, and she's a truck driver. And she said she'd never seen it quite to this extent.
Well, and she's been driving what, over 30
Long
years,
time.
so she
Yeah.
knows what she's talking
So
about.
it's just like something's changed. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things that we have not right in this country, a lot. But there are so many things we do. And it is the fact that we have this technology, we have the electricity, we have the food. Usually, I mean, it's expensive anymore, but there's usually have people out there to help you, and or resources which we have found to help you too. Isn't that right, Cheryl?
Yep.
There's so many good people, and I would guess the majority of people are good. It's just like we found in Italy. The people who were in Italy were awesome.
Yeah.
It's just the media likes to spin it because that's how you get ratings. On how many bad people are out there and how many people are coming across the border. That was not the way to come across the United States border. But those people just wanted a better life.
Yes.
I mean, could you blame them?
No. Well, and someone who is desperate enough to send a young child all by themselves in a journey that they know that could possibly end in all sorts of disasters. That's pretty desperate.
And I mean, it's just like when our ancestors came over. Mine came from Denmark, and yours came from Ireland, and they were just looking for a better life.
Yes.
And
Ireland, they were wanting to eat.
Well, true, yeah, but it's just like these people we look down on them, and I've done some people that have been from Mexico on the podcast, and gives me a whole new perspective. I can tell you that, and some of the new perspective of the way our government treats these people, and I mean, they needed to do it orderly. They needed to do that differently down there. And I feel for the people that were living right next to the border. I can't even imagine. I feel sorry for those people because that had to be terrifying. But I, I mean, if they were coming like in Nebraska, it was a border state, I would feel the same way. But I would feel compassion for most of them. I mean, there's always going to be that element. Pretty much anywhere you go, there's always
Mhm.
that element. One thing, if you didn't have that element, you wouldn't know what was good. You know, good and bad are part of the equation. And but I believe majority of the people are good. And it's just like these kids that are got guns and doing things, or these. I mean, there was a kid the other day. I think he's 14 and murdered these people. And it's like there's somewhere as a society we dropped the ball. You know, and I do believe there are some people maybe born evil, but I would say it's such a minute amount. Um, is it because the parents weren't able to stay home? They were divorced? Who's going to know? I
Oh,
mean,
honey,
but there's,
there's stuff that goes on.
yeah,
I mean, I worked at a children's shelter and I couldn't last because I was so angry at the parents at the things that they had done. I'm just not called to do that. But,
hmm,
some of these sweethearts were just such, they just wanted love like everybody.
exactly. And it's
And
all
they
comes
weren't
down.
getting it and they were getting things that they did
Yep,
not deserve.
yep. No, so I mean, there's always a backstory to what got people to where they're at. I'm grateful that I had and have a very loving family. I mean, been very blessed.
Well,
She came from a very loving family too.
yes, and my father had some issues when he was growing up
Hmm.
that he decided he wasn't going to pass along, and he did not.
Yeah, he
And
chose.
I extremely grateful for that because, sometimes the behavior is so ingrained that you don't even think about it, and then it's happened, and then you're horrified. Oh my God, what have I just done?
Yep,
And then there's no repairing it because you've done something, and it just escalates.
yep.
But
So, but
yeah,
but no, I just it's gratitude. I'm grateful for like the meal last night and the people giving us the gift card. I'm grateful for the friends and family we have. We had some awesome friends. Two that just got married yesterday.
yes.
And a shout out to Carter and Lauren. Um, yes,
Congratulations,
and
Mr. and
blessed.
Mrs. Faraj.
Yeah, and blessed that you are in our
Yes.
life so much, and can't wait to have you guys out here. Get you to Nebraska, been to Michigan. Michigan's awesome too, where they're at. Actually love Michigan. Michigan is similar but different. A lot more trees and a lot more orchards and a lot of wineries too.
Hmm.
But and we've only seen one little part of Michigan, but it's a really cool place. But yeah, awesome friends like them. You know, there's so many things to be grateful for, and you just realize your blessings because you can really get down. It's like I have nothing, I have nothing, and when you have nothing, you basically don't do anything. You're not going to be able to catch your dream life. You have to do a perspective, and yeah, you may be down to almost nothing, but there's probably one thing that you can do to get started with catching your dream life. And if you don't know how to, there are people out there that will help you. I mean, I'm out there trying to get people to start podcasts all over the place, and it's the way you kind of contact with people nowadays. Plus, it's fun. I find it very much fun. I don't know if Cheryl does, but I do. And there's also talking about resources. A resource we have in this country is the libraries. Where I'm at Hastings, Nebraska, all the time. Their library over there is epic. I have never been to a library like that, and I'm so grateful that it's so close by. And the downstairs, lower level, I guess is what they call it, is kind of a tech playland. I mean, there's places to do. There's a green screen, and then there's a place to do the podcast, which I have done one. But there are those resources, and like I told the gal that works there, I said I feel like I should pay you something. It's like, no, you don't. So there's a resource if you're really looking for somebody, to get something started. They're very
Well,
helpful down there.
yeah, and we're a society that goes to Google, but if you look it up yourself, you get to decide because Google and other things are curated, and there are
They're
things that
business.
exactly,
Yeah.
and so they put on what's going to be best for them. And
Mhm.
this way, if you go and read it out of the book, you're going to see all the things that have been taken out that weren't put in, and maybe
Yep.
think something's out of context, or you get to use your own brain to decide.
You do. But
And I think that's why we have so much issue with gratitude in this country, because everything we expect. We expect to have lights. We expect to
we
have
do.
a police force, or we expect to have a hospital. We expect, for our
We're
kids to go to
spoiled.
school. We expect to eat. We expect to go into, wherever. And I think that's why there's been such a backlash of people that, we've given them the name Karen and Kevin, because they expect everything to be exactly how they want, and they use that as a bully pulpit to,
Yeah.
get something for free. Whereas if you're in a country where there's things that you don't get, you have much more of a gratitude attitude about having lights and being able
You
to
really do
actually
appreciate
walk
it.
down the street and not have to go through checkpoints and
Hmm.
have people that are standing around with guns. And that for me would be just horrifying, but it's the reality for a lot of the world.
It
And
is.
so, we just need to step back and understand that we are very, very lucky. And if you kind of look at it that way, and there's been things that have been going on with us that, I could definitely say we're not lucky in certain things at this point, but you just step back and reassess and move on. That's all you can do. And sometimes you have to wait to get the gift unwrapped. Sometimes it's handed to you and you don't understand
True.
what it is that it's being given to you. I know that happened with me with cancer. I was not too grateful about what was going on, but now I can look back and see the gifts that I was given at the time.
Yeah.
And, this will be the same for us when we've moved on. And I
Exactly.
plan on moving on. I'm not planning on sitting here like we are.
It'll move on.
And we can look back and see the gifts that we can't unwrap right now.
Mhm.
So I kind of feel like it's sort of like the Christian deal with Christmas. You get your gifts, and sometimes you have to wait to open them up, like a kid that really bothers you because you want all of the stuff
You
now.
do.
Well,
I still do.
yeah, that's true. But it is a gift that sometimes you just have to wait to unwrap. And I think that maybe is part of gratitude, that you just understand that
Yeah, I
and
would
move
agree.
forward. So
Yeah, I do agree that way. I mean, sometimes you don't need to know, the gifts you've been given at the time until later on. And I do think that will be very much, we'll look back, kind of like your cancer was, because at the time it didn't seem like a lot of it things, but you had so many people that were supporting you, a great oncologist. I mean, she's still
fabulous
awesome.
oncologist, yeah.
The
A great
lady,
surgeon.
yep, they were all gifts. And at the time, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like fear, a lot of fear, because the
Yeah.
unknown. But I think that's another thing that's going on in this country is so much unknown because there's so many things going on that um, just unknown. And I think a lot of this hasn't been that way before.
Well, and a lot of fear too. I don't know about that, honey, because you look at every generation, we all have our issues.
Yeah, that could
They
be.
we talk about all the kids and the bullying online and such. And yes, that is a difficulty I didn't have to face when I was younger. I had to face, bullies in the school that were physically trying to harm me. And I also, turned on the television, and I'm going to date myself, but one of the first things that I ever was really afraid of was Kent State, that my government would actually shoot an unarmed student. That just horrified me when I was a
Mm.
kid. I just thought, I couldn't believe it. And, so those are things that, the
Yeah,
Vietnam, and I was
yeah,
a kid, and I always thought television, that was all news was guys jumping out of helicopters and napalm. That was what I thought the news was, and I couldn't understand why my parents would want to watch that, because it was always the same thing. Well, I had a child's understanding of what was going on. And so, yeah,
yeah. No, I would agree with you.
everybody has the difficulties. It's just in a different form.
Yeah. Yeah, so you just gotta be grateful. You gotta look. Sometimes it's hard to find stuff to be grateful for,
Yes.
especially if you're in a down day, or whatever. But there's always something to be thankful for. You're always being blessed somehow, and
And this
also,
is not a bully pulpit. We're trying to make people understand
yeah.
that
Well, and
this is something that would help you.
pray.
And
Praying. God always hears you. Maybe you don't get what you want back right away, but God is always listening to you. And maybe church. I don't know that this, just a suggestion, but go where there's like-minded people. Maybe because the church does do a lot of good.
yes.
And but it's just
But then there's also people that don't believe in that,
well that they don't
and
have to
so
go to the
they
church
have to
then.
find another
Yeah,
way. Go into nature
yeah,
and
that's what I do. I
watch
like
children play at the park.
that's my
Nothing
meditation is to go for walks and runs and stuff and go out, be with nature.
nothing
Um,
shows gratitude and excitement for life as a kid chasing after a puppy. I mean,
yep,
that's just joy on its
it
basic
is.
level. And if you can't do it for yourself, you can watch maybe someone else experiencing it.
We're just like we've had talking about. I'm grateful that I haven't been a hawk. We've had this family of hawks this year, and we've never had them so close.
Yeah, that's
And there's
interesting.
been two, and I maybe have said this in a previous podcast, but they've been trying to teach they're too young to fly, and oh my
One has
gosh,
been resisting
he's
strongly.
not real good at flying.
He's not real happy
He
about this.
tries.
Yeah, he falls to the ground and
And
runs into things.
and
And
I
so
don't know if it's mom or dad, but the other day they were sitting. One of them was sitting on the yard, looking like, "Oh my gosh, I need a drink" or something like that. I've never seen a hawk have that look. It's like, are these kids ever going to get this figured out? And they try. I saw one the other day go by this window over here, and the hawk was headed right to the ground.
yeah, he's not. He's still got his lunar permit, and
Yeah, he definitely has that. He's
so I
not
think it's not his
figured
skill.
that out. But to have the wherewithal to jump out of that tree and try and fly, oh, I can't imagine. I'm glad I'm grateful that I don't have to. I like flying. I don't want to learn how to fly like that. Oh my gosh! But they've been fun to watch. I mean, I've never been that up close to hawks, but they've been interesting to watch this summer. So another reason to be grateful for where we're at because we have so much wildlife. I mean, it's always something here, freezing the deer, the turkeys, and the bobcat, and whatever else we have here. The noisy cardinal, who is very pushy,
Yes.
and but he's awesome. He's very awesome. He's a good dad. I know that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's all in how you look at things, and sometimes it can be really, really tough to find something with gratitude and gratefulness. But there's always something there, even if it's somebody, a small meal, or somebody pays for something, or they just understand what you're going through. And I hope that I want people to realize that we definitely go after going through all this, understand what people are going through to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But and that's one reason why I want to keep doing the podcast, because I want to make it so people have an option not to be on the street, not to have to go through this as much. That there's more options out there, because and like in the previous recording that we it didn't work. There's some people out there that are in jobs that are basically going to end or are ending because of technology. Are on the streets. Don't know how to invest. Don't know how to get another job. Don't know how to do stuff online. And with what I've learned over quite a few years, and with the friends I have and the wherewithal, show people how to do this. That's why I'm doing the thing with showing people how to do the podcast and not charging them anything. Doing stuff with investing. There's so much investing that I believe also is out of date. I mean,
Well, on that note, we also have the experience of how many people are dishonest in that.
true. Yeah, you have to be
And that
very,
is part of our
very.
issue is we've
Well, you
met a
do
few
have
dishonest
to.
people.
We can
And
tell you the knowledge
so,
we learned with the School of
yes,
Hard Knocks.
yes, very hard knocks.
But yeah, there are a lot of
Liars.
unscrupulous. Is that
Yes.
people out there?
Yes.
But we have things that we kind of check out now before we go forward.
We have a checklist of things that
Yeah,
we definitely.
But I mean,
and granted, investing is not something that is going to ever
Well,
be
we're not-
100%
no,
ever.
no, it is.
And we
And we are
acknowledge
not-
that. But
we are
this
not-
was these were actively people
And this-
searching to steal from
Yes,
us.
that's true. But you don't have to just do that. There's people in everything.
Oh, I agree.
But we don't do investing as a business,
No.
just our knowledge that we've learned. Don't get us wrong on that.
No, we're not. That's why I was trying to
No,
make that point.
I wouldn't be
That's
picking
not-
stocks or telling you should buy
No.
gold or silver or doing crypto or any of that stuff. I just want to direct you to get to the point where you can make those decisions and what to watch out for when you are making those
Exactly.
decisions.
I just want to
I
make
don't
sure
make
we're
your
clear on
decisions
it,
for you.
'cause I don't
But
want anybody to think.
no, but yeah, and then doing this stuff, podcasting. I've done it enough years now. I can do a podcast very quickly when technology's cooperating. But people, it's kind of like that thing over there. It's like if you've never done it, it's kind of like, wow, that looks like a lot of work. And I don't find it that way, but I did to begin with. I mean, it took me a long time to do the first episode because it was like anything new, a challenge. But there's a learning curve. But that, and we just want to help people get to what the 21st century offers people, and get them so they don't have to be working so hard and 24/7. Um, but on that, I mean, just be grateful for what you have right now. It may be tough, sometimes almost impossible, but there's always something out there to be grateful for.
Yeah, it's something you're doing for yourself. It's not for anyone else. If you are, if you're focusing on the poo, you're not focusing on
What you
the
fo-
fact the flower is growing in
yeah,
the
what you
field.
focus on, you get more of, and yeah, exactly what you
So
just said.
it is really hard. And I know, when I've been sick, I had to focus on really, really small things because everything else was such a huge burden. And if I thought about, because it was, am I going to live? Am I going to be able to pay for this? Am I going to
Exactly.
leave my husband a
Yeah.
huge bill? Am I going to die from the medicine? Am I going to be maimed from the medicine? Am
Yep.
I ever going to feel like myself again? Those are huge things. So when it was, oh, I'm breathing in and out, or I, don't feel so rotten today, or
Makes you
I've
grateful
been
for the
able to
small
do
things.
X, Y, and Z today that I hadn't been able to do yesterday.
Yep.
If you focus on the little things, the bigger things kind of seem to fall in place. At least that was my experience
Yep.
with, being sick. But I kind of feel like that was something that taught me to face what's going on now. It's like, oh, I can get in my car and I have gas to go to work today. And that has been something that, it's not been a
Grateful
guarantee every
for them.
time. Yes.
Yep.
And so if I'm having a lousy day and I'm in a lot of pain, that's what I focus on. That, oh, I was able to ride to work instead of have to walk to work, or
Hmm.
and
Yep.
sometimes I've skipped lunch just simply because, well, that way we have stuff for a meal in the evening. And yeah, I know it doesn't look like I miss meals much, but we have.
Yep. We have.
And and I'm not saying that to be, oh, look at us, look at that. That is not what our motivation is at all here. We're just trying to help you.
No.
And being, certain times it's like when your parents tell you something and you don't want to know. And now I actually saw a tea towel that said, oh my God, mom was right about everything.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Yeah.
You get to a certain age, and especially as children or even young adults, you don't think that as old farts know anything. And yeah, it might not be the exact same experience, but we may have experienced pretty much the same emotions and the same difficulties. It's just wrapped up in a different way.
Yeah.
And so we kind of do know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and the things that you're talking about, when you go through them, you're grateful later on because it made you strong enough to go through
Yeah, it's
that and then some.
the gift you would
Yeah, because
unwrap
it
later.
made you stronger. It is how you get strength. Because to get through that is not an easy task, so you gain strength to get through it. And
Well, it's like doing a sit up. You do it once and it's hard. You do it a second time and it's still hard. And, until you
it is
are
very much that way.
doing all sorts of, things that you didn't think you could do
Yeah.
because you did the little thing first.
Yep. So on that, maybe we should go do some sit-ups, Cheryl.
Yeah, go ahead. With all the incisions I have, that's a challenge.
Yeah. So, but I think on that, but yeah, there's always something to be grateful for, and even when you go through things, it does build strength up. So the next time, which always was the next time for something else to occur, that will take that strength. But because you were through something previously, you had that strength, and that right there is something to be grateful for too. Something good coming out of something bad.
Yeah.
So on that, thank you, Cheryl, for joining the podcast, and electronics and everything, and cooperated this time, which is always a blessing, and grateful
Yes,
for that.
when the grandmas decide to go
Yeah,
somewhere else.
yep. So it was good. So on that, thank you for joining us on this episode of the podcast. Look forward to a bunch of people I have coming up for podcasts that are from all over the world, and from Sweden, New Zealand. I mean, they're all over, and they're coming up very soon. I have a lot of podcasts to record the next few weeks, and but
Yeah, some fascinating people too.
yes, very much. So anyway, Thank you for joining us on the Dreamcatcher podcast. Until next time, take care.